Thank you.
We're a little rusty because we've taken a long break. But we're going to do our best to explain a little backstory here. You may be wondering why we've cut down a full-size Christmas tree when we live in a van, which we did obtain legally. We did get a permit for it.
Thank you, Kaibab County. I guess another question you're probably wondering is, you've cut this full-size Christmas tree down now. Where are you going to put it?
We're going to swivel the passenger seat round slightly. We think we could probably force it round where the dash is. There's... Okay, the backstory.
It's going to take a minute, so if you're curious, stick around. If you're not, maybe skip along if you want. It is pretty interesting, though, and I can't say that many people are as psycho as we are.
So it started back in 2009. We drove out here to get married here in Flagstaff. And we fell in love with the town. We looked all over for pieces of land for sale, houses for sale. We did fall in love with one in this neighborhood, but we struggled to contact the people selling it. And one thing led to another, and it ended up selling to somebody else. So we were pretty devastated about that. But soon after, in 2011, so we got married in 2009, and then in 2011 we came back, and we stopped on this random hill in the same neighborhood, the neighborhood that we want to be in, and we stopped randomly on the side of this hill.
We were looking at the view,
saying, yeah, I definitely want a piece of this. And then I just happened to look to the right, and I saw a for sale sign. Yes, I was the one that got to take the sign down in the end. So we stared at this for sale sign for a decade, and I'm going to keep it now forever.
I think it's going to become garage art. Adam has a thing for garage art.
So we saw this for sale sign hanging on a tree right down here, and we called the number, and we got a hold of the people, and it was an older couple. So we actually met with them in downtown Flagstaff for breakfast that morning, and we agreed on the price, and then we agreed that they would owner-finance it for us. So we left Flagstaff, went back to Florida. The paperwork came through the mail, and we're just thinking to ourselves, we can figure it out. We can figure it out.
The down payment was a little bit.
It wasn't that much in the big scheme of things, but for
20-year-old, early 20s, we're talking, it was pretty substantial. 20-something-year-olds could not get their hands on that much money.
No.
We tried.
So we just didn't reply to them, actually. We kind of just got on with life.
And then went back to dreaming about owning it one day.
So the next time we contacted them was in 2015.
Which was our next trip back to Flagstaff. So 4 years went by?
Yeah, 4 years went by.
4 years went by. Life, everything else in the middle. Came back in 2015 as a family of 3.
Yeah, we did. And we stayed in an Airbnb house down. We can see the house from our lot here. We stayed in there for 2 weeks, and it was pretty magical. Still staring at that for sale sign on the side of the hill there. There's for sale sign. We called them, and we got a hold of him, and now the price for the land has gone up. It was almost double, not quite. And he also said that he's not ready to sell it yet. He wants to find a piece of land or property to put the money into. He just wanted to avoid taxes. So he said he would call us back. And so once again, we flew back to Florida and got on with life, waiting for him to let us know how much he wanted for the land and when he was ready to sell it.
Well, over the next 5 years, we keep, on and off periodically emailing him or texting him, just to touch base and say, hey, we're still here. Hey, we still want the land. Have you figured out what you're doing? So 2019, we kind of switched gears, and Adam came home with a wonderfully bright idea, which was to build out a van and live van life.
Oh, yeah. So we started building the van in 2019.
So we started building the van in 2019. Fast forward again to 2021.
The van is not even half finished at this point, and we're sitting on the driveway in Florida. Nicole's sitting in the back of the van, and she sees that there's a snowstorm coming into Flagstaff, and she said, why don't we book flights and go and experience this snowstorm? And I was like, yeah, okay, and I'll just get back to working on the van.
Next thing Adam knows, I am calling him to the back of the van, and I said, I have found a really good deal $400 round trip for the 4 of us to fly out there. So, after much convincing, we hit go, and same day, same afternoon, we're on the plane to Flagstaff.
Had a great time, but we ended up calling them again, the owners of the land, and saying, have you come up with a price yet? And I think this is when he finally gave us his ballpark price, which was definitely going to be almost double what we originally agreed on. And we said, okay, we'll work with it. We don't want to lose this piece of land. At this point, it's been, when did we start? 10 years. It's been a decade at this point. So we're not about to let this land go.
So we fly back to Florida, and the agreement on the phone was that he would send us paperwork, a letter of intent to purchase the land, and we signed that. So he's emailed that over, we signed that, sent it back, and went on with life in Florida, feeling a little bit better about our chances about getting the land eventually. Shock horror, another year goes by after signing the letter of intent. We start feeling a little unsure that this is going to ever happen because we've been doing this cycle for over a decade. And we end up going to England to visit Adam's family. Adam has family in England. He's from England.
I'm from England. So my parents have a company over there, and we were, within days of deciding to immigrate to England.
We even looked at a house while we were there in a village close by.
Yeah.
To where your childhood home was.
And then we were at an animal farm with the kids, and I was playing on the trampoline.
With the kids. Not by himself.
And Nicole's outside the trampoline going, Adam, and I'm going, yeah, what?
I'm like, this is really important. You should come over here, please.
Yeah, just a minute.
And I'm like, no, you should really get over here, please. He makes me wait. He doesn't come when
I did. I made you wait.
You did, yeah.
But I didn't know what had come in. It was an email that had come in from the son
of the owners of the land.
This is the first time we heard from the son.
And it's the first time they've actually reached out to us.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And he said that his dad had said that he's ready to sell the land, and we were at the top of the list. They had a list of people to call, to go down, until they just found somebody that wanted to buy it. And he said, are you still interested? And it's like, yeah, it's been another 18 months probably, and it's like, yeah. We thought that we had given up on the dream. We had given up on it at this point. We were ready to make a different turn in life, and England was going to be it.
So we couldn't have a phone call with the son. So he said, could we get onto a Zoom call with him? Because when you're overseas, the fees and stuff. So we ended up getting on a Zoom call with him, and it was quite late our time.
It was like 10 in the evening, and he said that the price for the land was now almost three times what we originally agreed on. So
and we had expected some kind of increase, a little bit, but not tripled. Really.
We did some research, and we looked at what the land was going for in this area. This is a premium lot, and just sort of bumped it up a little bit, sort of met them in the middle between what they're asking and what the median price is, just to be kind of realistic about it. Put in the offer that night, thinking, this is going to be another 6 months before we hear anything. Mm-hmm. And
he was back to us the next day.
Yeah, and he said
they are happy to accept our offer.
Which was just like,
wow, no way. I think we were speechless there for a minute.
But we put ourselves in the same position, how the heck are we going to do this? Because every time we say we're going to do it, we can't quite do it because we can't quite find the finances, but the cost of the land keeps going up with us, so it's like we just can't keep up.
So anyway, we're in England. He said, okay, well, I'll prepare the paperwork for a timeline of the date that we got back. So
another
6 months, is it?
6 months goes by.
So this puts us into June of 23.
And I don't know how we did it. We hadn't heard back from them again, but I think we were just used to it at this point. So another half a year goes by. We just get on with life. Life gets away from you.
And I'm pestering Adam, and I'm like, please, can you just text him?
I was like, I don't want to keep bothering the guy.
Keep following up.
But I did. I just kept following up every now and then, every 3 or 4 months or so. You can see the text message chain. It's like there's these big chunks missing. And he said that this is when his parents got ill, we think. So now we are only in contact with the son, and he's literally he's in the middle. He can't make any decisions. And then the van was finished. We finished the van 4 years later, and hit the road in April 2024, and headed pretty much straight for Flagstaff. We just made
as we do
2,200 miles, made a beeline for Flagstaff. We've got the van, we've got the world at our fingertips. but we headed straight for this town.
Mm-hmm.
Could have gone anywhere. When we got here, we parked down here again, looked at the sign,
You and your sign.
and said, "This is it. You know, we have to make this happen now. We don't have to leave Flagstaff this time. We don't have to go back to Florida and get back on with life. This is now life." What a strange turn. You know, you can't make it up. I messaged the guy, and he finally messages back and says, "Congratulations, my parents are finally ready to sell," with a little celebratory emoji on it. I'll always remember that. And they agreed to uphold the price that we had agreed on this time. So we're still, you know, we're actually right at double what we originally agreed on, which isn't bad when you consider how long it's been.
Yeah.
13 years at this point. And that's when we started the loan process.
Well, yeah.
And this is where the tables turned. It was all in our court. Because we even put earnest money down, so this is it. And so
May we start the loan process?
Yeah, this is where it just got weird.
It was, yeah. It seemed like that took, you know, ages, like stages and lots of things to send over and...
Yeah, just like every time we sent something over to appease their needs for the loan, it took them a week to say, "Okay, great," and then we need this.
Or okay, yeah, or they would say good, and then, or they wouldn't respond, and then I would say, "Hey, just checking to make sure you received this."
So each time it was another week, and in the meantime we'd got bored with living in the forest over there. This is when we started the vlog. So if you're new to the channel, go back to our first video traveling across California or whatever it was. We were heading for the Pacific Coast Highway.
We get on the road, we end up going up the Pacific Coast Highway, Washington, Oregon.
Pretty epic vlogs.
Yep. Check them out. Canada. We got stuck in Canada.
And that's when we got stuck in Canada, that's when we started to hear stuff again.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's when they approved our loan application and said that it was going to go to underwriting.
Yep.
So we started heading south from Canada.
Yeah.
And ended up in Washington. This is when the Starlink was playing up. So we were sitting in Washington waiting for a cable to come in to try and get our Starlink working.
And going to McDonald's to try and make sure we weren't missing emails and
and trying to get these vlogs uploaded.
Yep.
And then we get this message. We're in Washington. We get a message saying
it says everything looks good. We're gonna give you. We have to send it to final underwriting. They're gonna check over the loan, you know, all the stuff one more time, and if they give the okay, which we think they will, we have a closing date set for the 31st of August. So today is August the 13th. We just left Stanwood, Washington. So hopefully the next update will be we got final approval, and we are closing with the closing date. Yeah.
The final underwriter came back and said, "Oh, there's just one last little thing."
One little thing. This is 3 days before the closing date, so we're now back in Flagstaff.
And he said, "Oh, I don't see that there's any power stubbed to this vacant land."
Yeah, the appraisal came back and it says there's no electrical stub.
So, electrical stub is a term that we'd never heard before. It basically means that if you're going to build a house, you can plug into the mains, the power lines. And so we knew that this was going to take a while to figure out, and I had to call the son back, and this time I had to postpone the closing.
Yeah, we had to,
And we had to beg him to let us...
Yeah, we had to beg him for authorization.
To let us mess with the land now. Cause
before we owned it.
This isn't ours. Now we have to put money into something that isn't ours.
We had to go to the county because we needed to know how, if we needed to apply for permits.
You have to have at least a minimum of a 200 square foot structure. And she said, put a shed on the side of the hill.
She said we can put a shed on the land. We can have electrical stubbed to the shed on the land with 3 requirements, which she gave me in this booklet. And so now we're heading to the land, we're measuring out. She gave us all the setbacks, like legit. She was the most friendly and the most helpful lady ever. This is the best news. So I think we're gonna have to extend the contract a little bit later than we had hoped for. I think we're finally onto something, and I think this is gonna happen.
So we just got really excited at that point, because it's like, okay, well,
but there's a way forward.
We didn't just buy a ready-made shed. I said, you know what? I want this to be a cool shed. I'm going to build it myself for half the price of what it would cost to buy a flat pack one.
But also, the other thing was that even if we did buy a shed and make it easy on ourselves, even though we love to make things hard on ourselves, there's no way we could have got a shed delivered here and there's no access to the land.
We measured it. It's 60 feet down to the roadside, and it's steep. That's gonna be harder than I thought. We started out up here with pickaxes and shovels, and the neighbours down there walking a dog saying, "What are you doing?" It's like, we're putting a shed on the hill. The turning point was we were in Home Depot, and they had some clearance windows. And this is the spoiler, you will not get to see the shed until the next episode, but these windows are amazing. Like, we are buying this 1 in a million view, and these windows do it justice. Mm-hmm. So we bought these windows. They're not regular shed windows, they are just massive windows.
And they were on clearance, and they were cheaper than buying the tiny little windows.
We get the whole shed built. I'm not a builder, but we managed to figure it out.
With a lot of help from, like, neighbors.
The neighbours. God, the neighbours.
The neighbours are wonderful here.
Yeah, that makes living here, or wanting to live here.
Yeah, like...
And we get the shed done. Permits are a nightmare. This, it was a long road. There's too much to explain. At the end of the day, shed's finished, and the county comes down to inspect it. Bearing in mind, you have to be a hiker to get up here, and the guy that shows up from the county has a broken ankle. So he's standing down on the road and he's looking up at the shed going...
And there's no driveway. There's no access. You gotta hike.
And he said, I can't get up there. And I said, okay. And he said, just go up and take some pictures and let me, and bring them down. So I come up here. We're worried that we're not going to get passed for inspection. Take some pictures of the shed, bring them down to him. And he looked at the first one. I'd taken a whole bunch of pictures. And he said, here's your green tag. And then he drove away. So that
was the electrical inspection.
Yeah, he said that it was because of him that we were able to now hook up power to the shed, which is a big deal. This is a derelict piece of land with no amenities. So the power company shows up, hooks us up with power, and now I can officially call the son and say, this is it. The loan, we've done everything we need to do for the loan. Let's set a closing date. So we call the loan officer. And then he just, in one last-ditch effort, said, well, I can't really see where the power is. We send over all of the details that the power company gave us, and he still said, I'm sorry, but the pictures you've shown me could be anything. That could be anywhere. And also, why is there now a structure on the land that you're buying? We kind of just shrugged that off. I got angry with him on the phone. I don't get angry very often, but we've been going through this for 5 months. And I said, we've got all this money tied up. You have to do something. You can't come back and say you need more. This is it. And so I hung up with him, and he sort of, I just left him. And so what I did was I came down to the hill. I took the same picture that the appraiser took, but now you can see the shed in the background, so they can put 2 and 2 together to see that the pre-pit.
So the before and the after.
Yeah, they match. So we sent that over, and within a day.
Yeah, it was probably the same afternoon, actually.
It's like, yeah, okay.
That'll work.
We need to set a closing date. And then he calls me. Just anytime we can close. Yeah, just whenever's good for you. Yeah, whenever's good for you. As long as it's tomorrow, that's all we need.
Yeah, so we'll shoot for morning. I'll have my loan coordinator, Ayla, reach out to the title company, get that all scheduled and everything, and then we can send you the information on the...
Great, that's great news. Really, that is really good news.
Yeah.
Just got approved for the loan. Going to close tomorrow morning. And then the land will be ours by the weekend. So now we've got a closing date. And that's why we posted this random vlog saying that we had to drive to Lake Havasu. That's what we were doing in Lake Havasu.
We had to officially sign the papers.
Yeah, and we signed them on the date of...
the 25th.
Of October. And that was it. The land was ours. Now all we had to do was to get the county to completely say that the shed was legal. So like I said, the windows made it a little bit more than a shed. And after adding insulation, wallboard, texture to the walls, paint, floors, tray ceiling lights, just, the whole upgrades, we'll like I said, we're leaving you on a cliffhanger. You don't get to see any of it except for this part of the Christmas tree. Which, yeah, that's not even supposed to be in here yet.
Coming to you from the future.
Yeah. It's become a cabin. It's now a cabin on the side of the hill, and so you're going to see more of it in our vlogs. This is where we're going to spend some of our time, not all of our time, but this is now an official base for us, and it's a dream come true for us. As if living in a van and seeing the country wasn't enough. So we're kind of like at a little bit of a dilemma. We've got two wonderful options where... Amazing opportunities.
Yeah, amazing opportunities. Wherein that we can, start building a house if we want. Or we can get back on the road and just explore like our original plan was. I'm
going to build a house myself, by the way, so...
Yeah, so that's coming.
It's going to be cheaper than it would be if we were paying somebody.
That's coming eventually.
Yeah,
but,
we're going to try and vlog building the house on this hillside.
We're going to get to work on a... kind of like a rough layout of what we want to do next year, so that'll be probably in the next vlog.
Yeah, in the next vlog, we're going to give you an idea of what's happening next year. We've got a lot going on next year, and it's all pretty epic stuff.
If I do say so myself. No.
But that's it. That's where we've been.
That's why we haven't posted regularly. We were kind of like under pressure and under a deadline, so it kind of put a damper on us posting. We have missed it. We are a little rusty. Sorry if this has been kind of hard to watch.
Oh, no, my editing should be alright. Should be able to edit stuff. I don't know, 75% of it out.
Oh, thank you. Is that my 75%?
Yeah. So, now we're going to cut to a scene of me starting to carry the tree up the hill, but we're going to leave you on a cliffhanger.
But just so you get the idea of how much you have to walk.
Tune in for tomorrow's vlog, where you get to see the cabin.